joining us. My name is Joni Girardi. I'm DataSelf's founder and CEO. Myself and my team, we have been doing BI for mid-sized companies for 17 years. We have done hundreds of the deployments of BI systems, and we have learned a lot in this journey. So my goal here today is to share some of our learnings. We'll be talking about business intelligence for Acumatica and how to make a successful BI journey. So let's get started. The first part is I'll be talking about the BI journey. Doesn't matter what BI product you select. I want to share some of the things we've seen as being successful, the pros and cons of different approaches, and hopefully something that will help you decide what will work well for you, for your journey. Then on the second part, I'll also talk about DataSelf, where we are a good fit, the pros and cons. We'll have a Q&A at the end of the session, and then we'll have a few polls throughout the presentation to make it interactive. If you have questions, please write it down or write on the GoToMeeting question panel, and I'll address them at the end of the session. So first of all, when does a company start the BI journey? Let me give the example of this company, a distribution company here in California. The CEO and the CTO called me a few years ago, and pretty much the conversation in a nutshell was the following. They have several different source databases, or they call it data silos. The ERP system, the CRM system, they have Google Analytics, they have a different payroll system, they have social media feeds, and a lot of Excel files. In all of these data, in different data silos, they are required for reporting for different, of the decision makers. Different management teams requiring different reports from different areas, and it was a kind of a mess, very time-consuming, very slow process. Decision makers quite often would have to wait for a report until they could make a decision, or they would have to wing the decision because they could not wait for a new report. So the CEO told me, can you help us? Can you help us get out of the situation, make the system better and more efficient? So typically things I like to do is, first of all, be sure they understand options. So the main goals of when a company starts a BI journey is usually twofold. One is, what are the business goals? Second is, what are the IT goals? Business goals, usually it's, management, they want to have easy access to their data anytime, anywhere, using different devices, desktop devices, web browsers, mobile, like tablets, smartphones, so easy access anytime, anywhere, in meetings with a client, a coffee shop. Second, and sometimes more importantly, they want to be able to get their answers, at the speed of the thought. So if they have a new question and there's not a report ready for that, they want to be able to change reports, slice and dice reports, drill down, download the data, and even create new reports from scratch. So they want to be empowered. They don't want to be asking someone else, an IT, a consultant, every time that they need something different. Empowerment is very critical from a business goal standpoint. And at the end of the day, they want value. They want to put money into it, yes. As long as there's great return, the more return, the better. So the more empowered, the more value you give to those two first topics, the more value, the more they're willing to invest in the solution. On the IT side, well, they want something that is easy to deploy and easy to maintain. So when decision makers ask for something different, something else, a new data source, it's not going to take forever. It's not going to be complicated. They want something easy to deploy and maintain. They want something that doesn't break, runs every day, automatically, hands off. So it must be reliable. They want something that's going to be scalable. So as the business grows, They want to be sure that they not have to scratch this BI platform to buy a new one because the initial one is no longer capable of growing with the company. So scalable is usually also an important requirement. And also at the end of the day, something that has a broad range of BI features. So those are the main goals of the BI from a business and IT standpoint. Now, what we have seen, there are three main ingredients to make a BI journey successful. The first one is decision makers must be engaged. Sounds obvious, but it's not. Quite often, the BI journey starts with the IT or let's say accounting people that are overwhelmed and are having a hard time keeping up with the BI requests. So they start the BI journey. And sometimes the decision makers are just signing the check. Whatever you decide, here it is, do it. It works for some companies. It is a way to start, better than nothing. But what we have seen is bring decision makers to the discussion. They are the people asking for reports, asking for their data. They know the business needs. You know, the IT and accounting, you know the systems, the databases. And when you put the two of you together, you can make a much better decision what's going to help your business in the long run. So getting decision makers engaged in the process is usually a critical component to get your BI journey successful in the long run. Otherwise, it might be short-lived. Second, what is a BI platform? Sometimes seems an obvious reason, but you know, I've seen over and over each department selecting their own BI platform. It looks like it works great for them, but from the big company, the big picture, it's a mess, different teams with different BI tools. Sometimes the same user has to access 2-3 different BI platforms, more user license, more training, you know, so selecting the BI platform is also a very important component. We'll talk more about that later. Finally, and sometimes, you know, also where things really make it great or make it a failure is a team of experts, you know, expertise that will help you deploy and maintain this BI platform in the long run. At the end of the day, it's about people making it happen. Having the right people is going to happen. Having the people that are not really experts, you're going to be frustrating, perhaps stumbling through the process, take a long time, a lot of money, and a lot of frustration. So expertise is also very, very critical. At the end of the day, we all want is results. First poll, please, if you can answer quickly to the following questions. What are your main reporting challenges? Select as many as apply to you. And don't forget to click the submit button. I'll wait 10 more seconds. So be sure to select all options and click the submit button. Okay, thank you. I'm closing and sharing very quickly the results. Difficult to use in data silos are the biggest ones. Thank you very much. Moving along. So let's talk about a few ways that people go through their BI journey. And let's talk with the default approach, which I see pretty much almost across the board. You have one of the teams. Let's say you have the Acumatica people using Acumatica. And they say, hey, we need something better than what's available. So what happens is you usually ask your Acumatica provider, you know, your Acumatica VAR, you call Acumatica, what can we do? And because they know some options, they'll give you options to work better with Acumatica. It works. For some companies, absolutely works. Sometimes it's all that you need. But most businesses, they have many data sources, and eventually what's going to happen is, well, you have a different CRM system, and then what you do, you ask your CRM provider. They give you another BI solution. And then let's say you have a different payroll system, and you ask for a BI solution. And what happens at the end of the day, you're going to have a lot of different BI solutions, each system with its own, a lot of user licenses, sometimes the same person having to access different systems, more training, headaches, more cost. So pros of this approach, absolutely, it's almost always at the default. If you don't know better, that's what you're gonna do. And for some business, it works. In my experience, eventually, as you grow, this is not gonna work. But for some time, it might work. And from a license cost, it's usually like a natural. Hey, it's just adding a few more licenses to your Acumatica or to your Salesforce. Why not? Sometimes, from a license standpoint, it can be little incremental cost to get a little bit more BI value out of it. What are the cons? Well, if you're hoping to break the data silos, usually you don't. Every system with its own BI, and if you need to match data across the systems, sometimes it's impossible or very cumbersome. So not very good in that sense. In the long run, is usually a very costly solution because, again, too many systems to maintain, to do upgrades, user license all over the place, to manage those user license, training people, sometimes, again, the same user with different tools. So in the long run, this BI solution usually doesn't work for many, many companies. They may start this way, but eventually they have to scratch it and start with something else. So let's go for the next step. Next step that some companies start from the beginning is actually finding an analytic solution that actually will work with any data source. And at the beginning, usually, hey, let's do Acumatica because it's the area where we need the biggest data analysis right now. And then you do this connection, you build the solution, the reports and dashboards, and eventually, yes, you're going to have to pull data from ERP, from Acumatica, from CRM, from, I don't know, payroll, Google Analytics, any other data source you may have, and bring all the data to this unified BI platform. Overall, this approach much better than the prior one. So pros, it's still simple. If you get a analytics platform that will do this and actually pull data from all these data sources, and you have expertise to do that, it's usually fairly simple. You'll get results fairly quickly. There's not a lot of investment. Again, it's only one platform, easy to maintain, easy to train, much better than several. What are the pros or the long-term challenges? One of the most critical in the long run is having a single version of the truth. Typically, these analytic solutions make it easy for you and your team to build new reports, build dashboards. But what happens is, as people are building these reports and dashboards, quite often different people will create different versions of the truth. Let's say you go to analyze your sales, and then one person brings a report showing your sales, another person brings a report showing sales as well. However, one person factored into their sales, let's say taxes, while the other person didn't. But when you look at the reports, they both show sales. So you're comparing apples to apples. Actually, you're comparing apples to pineapples. Nobody knows. Decisions are made in the wrong information and then not the best decisions. So maintaining a single version of the truth with this kind of approach is very challenging and sometimes very costly. Second is poor performance. Typically, these systems will hit the source database in real time, and you may slow down significantly the speed of your transactions, something that you definitely don't want to do. And also, reports will start to run in very slowly. From seconds, they're going to go to minutes, sometimes even hours. So hitting data sources directly usually have performance issues on both sides of the system, source databases and also reports. Finally, in the long run, because of those two issues above, it becomes hard to maintain in kind of a headache. So, pros and cons of this approach. What is a more structured BI journey that kind of addresses most of those issues? Well, is when you add a data warehouse to your framework. Now, what are the pros of having a data warehouse? First of all, it's so much easier to define the single version of the truth. With a data warehouse, the people who are maintaining it, they'll bring the data together from all your data sources. They'll mesh them together. They'll define the rules. Let's say if you call revenues or sales, you can call sales with taxes and sales with no taxes. And it's labeled, it's calculated, it's vetted, it's tested. Once you publish to your users, Users will build a report. If they want to build a report by sales, they have to pick which one of the two. It will be clearly stated which one, each one of them, what they do. So it's very much better to guarantee that when you look at a report, and if you see sales with taxes versus sales with no taxes, you know right there you're not comparing the same thing. Much easier to maintain the single version of the truth, and right there it's a major, major value added. High performance. With a data warehouse, you pretty much will let your source systems run at maximum capacity. You're not going to be slowing them down. And most reports will run in seconds regardless of the size of your databases. So very impressive from a performance standpoint. Better data governance. With a data warehouse, you'll have people that understand databases, understand reporting. They'll guarantee data accuracy, validation, data vetting, and it will be a much more reliable system. Also guaranteeing that only the right users will have access to the right information. Finally, as you use data warehousing properly and you also use real-time access to data, you can actually come up with a BI framework that will deliver fast results even though the data warehouse is a more structured approach. So you still can have ad hoc analysis, quick data discovery in a more structured, vetted way through the data warehouse. So it's kind of, the best of both scenarios of a BI solution. Now, of course, everything has cons. First of all, it will cost you more money, more licenses, more hardware or whatever you're using to host this system. So bigger investment, and also requires more expertise. To probably do data warehousing, you need people that know data warehousing, know data sources, know your BI solution, and know how to put it together. So it's not something that you can find all over the place. You have to find the right people. And finally, timing. When should you add a data warehouse to your framework? Should you do it now? Should you do it later? It's not sometimes obvious. Probably at this point, you might not know if you need it or not, or what kind of data warehouse you need. Many questions must be factored into the consideration, and I'll talk more about that soon. Acumatica, a very successful cloud, on-prem, private cloud, in public cloud system. So for the BI, should you go public cloud or not? Not meaning on-premise or private cloud. So considerations, first of all, legal considerations. If you're already putting your critical data in the cloud, then from a legal standpoint you're covered, well then a public cloud BI can be an option. I always tell people the first question is actually with the attorneys. Can you put your critical data in the cloud, in the public cloud? If it's okay, then that's not a component for your decision-making process. Where to put it, it's a checkbox. Okay, no problem. If legal tells you, no, you cannot put in the cloud, public cloud, then, well, there you go. You cannot use a public cloud BI. Second option, and also very important from a technical standpoint, where are your major data sources? My recommendation is if your major data sources are already in the cloud, public cloud, then it's usually okay to put your BI in the public cloud. If they are not, if they're in a private cloud or on premises, most likely it's better if you put your BI close in the same network where your major data sources are, because there's a heavy traffic between the two. So that's usually a big consideration from a technical standpoint. And finally, is BI a mission critical application? For many companies at the beginning, it's not. So if it's not, it doesn't matter. You can put it in the cloud, public cloud or not, and no problem. As it becomes a mission critical application, sometimes you are forced to push one way or the other. Sometimes you got to go public cloud. Sometimes you have to not be in a public cloud. So those are considerations you have to look at. And in this webinar, I'm not going too deep in any question. I just give you the thoughts that you should be looking at. One of the things I make myself available is, even though we are a publisher of a BI solution, our BI solution, We've been around for too long, and we're here to help. We're here to educate, and we're here to even tell we're not a good fit for you. Please go visit these other vendors, which we believe is a better fit. So I like to tell people about what we have learned, share our knowledge. If we are the right fit, awesome. Let's do business together. Let's be successful. If we're not the right fit, I want to be sure. I want to help you decide, and I'll even tell you where to go. What my point is, you know, if you want to discuss further these topics that I'm covering this webinar, please, you get my contact. We can talk on a one-on-one basis to go much deeper into all of these topics to help you make a better decision. Now, so paths to go with your BI journey. Should you go with a regular approach? We should go with a more structured approach. Should you go cloud, on-premises, private cloud? All those questions are for you to decide. And again, use me as a resource to talk about it, learn more from us, learn about from other competitors, learn about the options, and make a better decision. I want to educate more than anything else. Now, the team to make it happen. And to me, if you have the right team to make it happen, it will be successful. Very likely be successful. If you don't have the right team, the odds are it's going to be bumpy, frustrating, complex, time-consuming, and expensive. So to me, this is a very important component of your BI journey, getting the right people to make it happen. So you'll need people that will help you select what BI will work well for you. So you need to have expertise in the selection process. You have to have expertise deploying it to get data from your Acumatica, from your other data sources and whatnot, so deployment. People that will know how to train your team, train the trainer, let's say in 3, 4, 5 years, train the new people, so training also important resource. People that will help you train, a platform that has online resources, a lot of online resources really valuable. And finally, a team that will be around, that let's say in 3, 5, 7, 10 years, when you need to do maintenance and change, they will help you go through the processes. If you're changing your team, usually is a very cumbersome process. In finding, retaining good people is really hard. How to get user adoption? There are two means to do it. You can go top down. And pretty much, let's say, okay, you're replacing your previous reporting platform with the new one, and people will have to use it. There's no option. So it's one way to go. Or you embed your new reports and dashboards into users' workflow. So as they go through their Acumatica pages or, I don't know, CRM, Salesforce pages, the reports are embedded over there. So people will use them because they're right in front of them, very contextual in whatever that you're doing. Very efficient also to get people to use the BI solution, put in their workflow. You get a quick user adoption. At least, people will be seeing the reports, will be getting information from it. How many will be interacting with the reports, learning how to change them, how to slice and dice them, to drill down and download. It's another question, but pushing reports from the top down is usually a quick way to get everyone accessing it. One of the downsides or commitments is you got to put higher initial investment to push the reporting solution for all your users. There's also the grassroots approach, which is the opposite. It's kind of from bottom up. These companies that use the grassroots, they think, well, this is a journey. We don't know so much about it yet. There's so many possibilities. And even though we have a great expertise to help us move forward, we, the business as a whole, we don't know yet where we want to go. We have an idea, but it's a journey. So let's go more slowly. Very common approach, also very successful if properly done. So typically people start to experiment the BI solution with a small number of users. They realize which users can benefit from it, and then they expand into more users as they see the benefit. So it's a more paced investment. It's slower. Nevertheless, can be very successful because for some businesses, it is actually the way to go. Cost and ROI. I usually tell people, when you get into BI, it's not going to be for the next few months. It's not going to be for the next 2 years, 3 years, it's going to be forever. Once you embrace BI, believe me, you're going to go into a much better framework from a decision-making standpoint. It's going to be forever in the life of your business. So don't look in a short-term investment period, look in 5 years at least to make sense if it's worth it, and which platform will actually cut it, will actually work for you in 5 years. Look in the long run. Believe me, it's for decision-making process, you're going to be sure it's going to support you properly. So with that in mind, the first thing is when looking at competitors in the Acumatica BI market, Acumatica has some options. They recently announced Power BI. There's BI 360. There is DataSelf. There's Tableau. There's ClickView. There's Domo. There's so many different vendors. Which one should you choose? From a cost standpoint, well, pricing is pretty much in a 5-year period is going to vary between about, give or take, $10 to $150 per user per month. So it's not going to break the bank. Either way, if you go, looks like I'm having some audio issues. So hold on a second. I'm going to call from a different phone number, hopefully.
My friend here. So this price range is pretty much, if you look at the options, there's Power BI, there's Domo, BI 360, DataSelf, Tableau, whatnot. Pretty much is going to be the price range you're going to get per user per month in a 5-year period. So it's kind of broad, but again, it's not going to break the bank. If you need really a great BI tool, any of these options from a price standpoint is not going to break the bank. Now, what can be very costly is the services required to deploy and maintain this BI solution in those 5 years. Services, meaning your internal resources allocated to make it happen, as well as outside resources, can be very costly, sometimes way more than the actual license cost. So something that you really need to look closely, not only for the next project, but for the long run. So talk about with the option that you're considering, try to get a better understanding, talk with their client, ask those questions. This cost can be significant. But the most important cost sometimes, and it's hard to measure, it's really hard, is missed opportunities cost. If you don't give the tool that will be the most empowering, the most reliable, the most scalable, what's going to happen in 5 years? How many opportunities you might miss because decision makers are not being able to get informed decision in a timely fashion? So to me, quite often, if you're a growing business, this is the most important consideration. Find a BI tool that will be very easy to use, very reliable, very fast, that will keep your business moving forward very quickly. So at the end of the day, the ROI will be mostly driven by the value delivered by BI, so something that will provide you a lot of value, easy, quick, fast to deliver, anytime, anywhere. So value is the most important thing. Find a solution that will really add a lot of value in the long run. A solution that will be easy to maintain, have a lot of resources from the vendor, online resources from communities also can reduce significantly the cost to get things done. Just to give a quick perspective into this component, our current platform that we have chosen, there's so much online resources that most of our support, what we need to get our job done, we can find answers 24/7 by searching the internet. There's so many resources available for our BI platform out there, people using it, that it's incredibly low cost to maintain it overall. So that's a good thing. So at the end of the day, I tell people the actual licenses are often a small fraction of the cost. So, at the end of the day, if you're not giving with your BI, let's say, $500 of benefit per month, 1,000, 2,000, whatever the number is, maybe you're not doing the right BI for your company. So the license cost at the end of the day is almost not really important. The the other components of the BI is usually more important for ROI than the actual license cost. Second poll, let's do a little quickly here. So if you can please answer, what are the main reporting areas? Five more seconds. Please don't forget to click submit button. All right, thank you. I'll move forward quickly. So up to now, I talked about BI journey. Doesn't matter what tools you're going to be selecting, what's a good fit. Those are generic concepts that you should keep in mind as you go through your BI journey. From now on, I'll talk about specific about DataSelf. My team and I, we've been together for 17 years. We started DataSelf in 2005, so it's been 12 years. And the things we do is mostly because we've been around. We've seen people having all of those challenges that I've been telling you so far. So many options, what to do, who's going to do it, what product and whatnot. And so when we started DataSelf, we decided, hey, let's actually be experts in BI for mid-sized companies. Let's find a BI platform that is really one of the best. Let's embrace it. Let's make it better. Let's make it simpler. Let's make it out of the box, really valuable. Let's help our clients that this solution is a good fit to be really successful. So instead of you putting all of the time to go through the learning, which tool to choose, or the pros and cons, well, okay, let's get this tool, let's learn it, let's deploy it. We want to be there to expedite the process significantly. What we have been using, is pretty much top-notch technology. The products we've been using is Tableau and Microsoft. So we take Tableau and Microsoft, which are leaders in the Gartner Magic Quadrant. They have been leaders for many, many years in a row. And we bring to Acumatica and people that use Acumatica in other systems. If you look from an architecture standpoint, when we started our business, we had a question, should we have a data warehouse for all clients, or should we start with the regular approach and eventually migrate into a data warehouse? Well, we thought that if we could make data warehousing something really simple, something really inexpensive and easy from the get-going, we would go for it. So we wouldn't have to scrap the solution at a certain point and go to a data warehouse. And we've been successful with that approach. We decided to use SQL Server for data warehousing, but instead of using programming for data warehousing, we created our own ETL that eliminates most of the programming involved in data warehousing. So much easier and faster to deploy and maintain it. We have adopted Tableau as the front end. And Gartner has rewarded Tableau as the gold standard for analytics for the past 5 years in a row. It's one of the best, most mature, most fully functional analytics platforms out there. It's really impressive. And in the course of this, 12 years doing BI for mid-sized companies, we have learned from clients how they're looking at their data. And today we have more than 5,000 reports, dashboard KPIs out of the box. So there's a lot of solutions. It's a very comprehensive solution. You don't have to start from scratch. There's a lot of things that you just build on top of. So that's our solution. Let me show you quickly. And I just want to give you a flavor of DataSelf Analytics with Tableau, just to show you how easy things are, how empowering things are. Again, because we use Tableau as the front end and because we have a data warehouse, this solution is one of the fastest out there and one of the easiest to use. So just give a little flavor of it. What I'll do is quickly create a dashboard from scratch showing this month's sales details, marketing sales trends, some trends on sales by size, by state, and then how to interact with dashboards. So let me do that. So now I'm switching to the DataSelf desktop client, and as a user, as a decision maker, I'm not a technical person in this case. I'm pretending to be a decision maker. I have to pick, what connector I'm going to be doing my analysis. So I just pick and choose. In this case, I'm going to be building a revenues dashboard. So I have my measures, my dimensions in my measures, and pretty much to build anything you need to know how to drag and drop. So I want to see sales by customer this month. So let's say I want to see sales by customer. These are my customers, drag and drop. All my customers are here. I want to see sales. I just drag and drop. So total sales for all customers in the whole company history. Well, I want to see this month. So let me put invoice date in my columns. I see by default by year. And I can expand from year to the quarter level. I can expand quarter to the month level. Very point and click and just keep on drilling down into your data, all the company history here. Well, I only want to see this month's data. Well, I can easily filter. I just drag and drop the invoice date to my filter shelf. I can select different time buckets or tell relative date and choose, let's say, months, this month. There it is. This report shows this month. And every month is going to be always this month. What if I want to see last month? There it is. What if I want to see the last 3 months? Next, or quarters, or years, or quicks. Very easy, very intuitive. Any business person with little training, they can actually learn how to do it by themselves. What if I want to see by invoice? You just point and click, invoice number here, drag and drop. So by customer, by invoice. Maybe you want to see products. You just drag and drop. As long as you know how to drag and drop, you can actually build these reports. So very straightforward. Many of our users have learned how to use this tool just by watching a presentation like this. My second part of my dashboard is trend analysis. Let's say I want to see sales by month. So I double-click sales. This is my total sales. I double-click invoice date. I'm seeing sales by year, but I want to see by month. There's a lot of different ways to slice by time. I'm going to choose by month. So sales in the whole company history by month. But I want to compare with my website visitors that comes from Google Analytics. Guess what? Google Analytics is not in Acumatica. It's a different data source. Doesn't matter. The DataSelf, we have a data warehouse. We blend the data together. The decision maker is all here. I just drag and drop. I put my website visitors here, and they're going to show as bars, while my sales is going to show as lines. I put them on dual axis, website visitors orange, sales is a line, all together, nice and easy. Cool, huh? Last report, I want to see sales by geography. I want to see how big my deals are. I want to see sales by state and sales. Can I tell the tool, show me this on a map? There it is. In a few clicks, I built a nice map with sales, bubbles and slides by different invoice sizes. And finally, I want to put all of these on a dashboard. It's all point and click. I want to put, let's say, my map. I want to put my trend analysis at the bottom. I'm going to put my other detailed report on the right. Point and click. In a few clicks, I build this dashboard from scratch. Very impressive, very straightforward. And once I publish this dashboard, if I open on an iPad, on a tablet, I can use my finger to select different regions, and the dashboard will automatically be filtered. Very fast, very easy, very empowering. Tableau is amazingly easy to use. Again, according to Gartner, the easiest to use platform out there for many, many years in a row. So really impressive. Once we publish to a web portal, users will go to the web portal. They can have different ways to access it, different ways to slice and dice the data. I'm going to go very quickly to this example. If I want to drill down into data, I can drill down, I can slice and dice. If I go from Atlanta, I click on a bar, I could drill down into it straight, or I could have drill down options from this report into a different report, into a different data source. It's all meshed together in the data warehouse. You almost have unlimited possibilities on what to do with your data. I'm really a little behind because I was late with my audio, so let me go quickly to the next slide here. So what is the profile? I'm going to probably be 5 minutes more in this presentation, so sorry. I hope you can stick around for 5 more minutes. What is the profile of the typical DataSelf client? typically with revenues over $20 million per year. We have clients with much smaller, yes, we do, but typically above 20 million is the best fit for our client base. 70% of our clients are in the distribution manufacturing business, and we have more than 5,000 reports, dashboards, and KPIs looking at AR, AP, GL, inventory, purchasing, sales, financials, sales order, CRM information, opportunity management, contact management, and so forth. But at the end of the day, I tell people, we are really great fit if you need more visibility and more control over the time it will take to get value from your BI. If you want to have more control and visibility of how much money it's going to take, and you want to get expertise to get it done. Again, we do this day in, day out. We can tell you up front, we're a good fit, we're a great fit, how much it's going to cost you, how long it's going to take, or no, we're not a good fit, here are some other options. So we know our stuff, and we probably can deliver value very quickly if we are a good fit. I'm going to skip the last poll, and I'm going to skip the Q&A as well because we're running out of time. But please, I'm going to put my contact information here, my cell phone, and my email. If you have questions, feel free to email me, feel free to call me. I'm here to educate. And if we're a great fit, again, we'll do business. If we're not, I'll be glad to refer to other BI vendors. I hope you have enjoyed the session. It's being recorded. We'll put it on YouTube, and by tomorrow you'll get an email with a link to the recorded session. Feel free to share with other people, and I hope to hear from you, and I hope you have a great hump day. Thank you.